My name is Evelyn, a full-time homemaker. Besides looking after my 2 kids, I also care for my husband who has been paralyzed for 5 years. He suffered a heat stroke while working as a field engineer. One day, he passed out on duty in an open field with a scorching heat index. Collapsing from the extreme conditions, he fell hard from the top of a 1-story building. Fortunately, he was rushed to the hospital immediately, but it marked the most devastating day of my life. Receiving that phone call, my body trembled. The news was hard to believe, and the uncertainty of my husband's future was overwhelming. Rushing to the hospital, I found my mother-in-law already there, panicking and being hysterical. "Calm down, Camilla. Everything will be okay," I reassured her. "Calm down? My son is in critical condition, and you're telling me to calm down. Are you insane?" she shouted at me. I wasn't surprised. I had grown accustomed to her attitude. Whether it's shouting or nagging, I've learned not to let it bother me. There are times when I want to speak up, but I choose to be the bigger person and keep my mouth shut instead. My husband spent almost 3 weeks in the hospital. During the first week, I stayed by his side, looking after all his needs because, of course, he's my husband, and I want to be there for him when he needs me. However, in the second week, my mother-in-law insisted that she should take charge. She said I should go back to work to save money for potential medical bills if he needs a longer stay in the hospital. I agreed initially, telling her it's okay for me not to work because I need to be present during my husband's recovery. But she was determined that I must go. "The doctor says he's stable now. Don't worry, I'll take care of him. You can go to work tomorrow. I've already informed our boss and taken a leave of absence. He understands my situation," she reassured. I was surprised by her response this time. I explained that I have a 3-week work leave, and my boss said it's fine for me to stay with my husband. "No, you have to work too," she insisted. This caught me off guard. Why was she so upset? But I already arranged for a 3-week work leave and my boss approved it, so I should stay with my husband. I had no option but to go along with her, thinking maybe she wanted some alone time with her son or was genuinely worried about the finances. The next day, I went to the office, pouring all my time and energy into my work. My coworkers were surprised to see me at work, knowing the critical condition of my husband. I explained that I needed to work extra hard for financial reasons. Luckily, my boss was kind enough to grant me a higher pay this month to cover the hospital bills and everything needed for my husband's recovery. After numerous tests, the doctor delivered the news that half of my husband's body was paralyzed due to a dramatic fall. The doctor assured that there was still hope for recovery. "Thank you, doctor. I'm Isla's mother, and I appreciate all you're doing to improve his condition. Please do everything you can." I expressed my gratitude. I didn't catch much of the doctor's report, especially the last part, as my mother-in-law interrupted. One thing was certain. My husband was now paralyzed and would be bedridden for the rest of his life. My heart sank. I couldn't believe he had to endure such suffering. I didn't want to see him in this condition. My mother-in-law insisted on staying with us, wanting to personally care for her son while I continued to work. While her intentions were honest and considerate, I hesitated to inconvenience my mother-in-law, especially as she's getting older. Affording a personal caregiver was within our means, but she insisted on taking care of him herself. As soon as my husband was discharged, my mother-in-law moved in with us, and it's been 5 years since his terrible accident. Despite all the necessary interventions and therapies to aid his recovery, progress seemed elusive. I focused on earning money for the family, covering my husband's medical expenses. During therapy sessions and medical interventions, my mother-in-law accompanied my husband. After each session, I would inquire about his progress and health, but her responses remained disheartening. "Well, same as last time, no progress, no improvement," she would say. We continued the same routine for 5 years, and it seemed impossible that there was still no sign of recovery. I began to question whether it was the doctor's fault or if my mother-in-law was hiding something. I don't want to harbor negative thoughts about her, but I couldn't help it. As a family, I resolved not to think poorly of her. One weekend, I asked my mother-in-law if I could take over the caregiving shift for my husband. Sitting beside him, witnessing his struggle with paralysis, my heart ached. This feeling intensified with each passing day, as if I were in a constant battle that I couldn't seem to win. I made an effort to communicate with him, sharing details of my day and reminiscing about significant memories, even though he couldn't fully comprehend. I wanted him to know that he was still special to me, still my husband. Weakly, I stared at him lying on the bed, unable to walk or talk. The hope of his recovery seemed to slip away. During these challenging times, my mother-in-law appeared to be our pillar of strength, holding us together. Yet beneath the surface, a sense of suspicion began to creep into my mind, a gut feeling suggesting that something was amiss. There was this one time when I came home earlier than usual. I quickly went to my husband's bedroom to check on him. Right before entering, I overheard my mother-in-law talking to someone. If I'm not mistaken, I heard my husband's voice too. They were having a conversation, so I hurried to the door. When I tried to open it, I found it locked. Despite my attempts to force it open by holding the knob and knocking, it took my mother-in-law 4 minutes to finally unlock it. Upon entering, everything seemed normal. My husband was lying there with a dextrose in his veins, and the room was arranged perfectly. Nothing had changed. "Who were you talking to?" I asked. She showed me her phone and rolled her eyes. "My friend. What about it?" I sighed and proceeded to attend to my husband. I didn't want to deal with her strange behavior anymore. There were instances when my mother-in-law insisted on taking complete control of my husband's care, not allowing me to tend to him or accompany him to medical appointments. Her possessiveness and protectiveness raised red flags, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. "Camilla, I can take care of Isla. I want to be the one to help him with his daily activities. Please let me take care of my husband." "Evelyn, I appreciate your intentions, but I've been looking after Isla for a while now. I know what's best for him." "I understand you've been helping him, but I want to be more involved. It's my duty as his wife," I explained. My mother-in-law's expression turned cold, and she stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You don't understand, Evelyn. I know what Isla needs. Trust me, I am doing everything in his best interest." Though frustration bubbled up within me, I remained composed. "I appreciate your help, but I want to be an active participant in Isla's care. I want to take him to therapy and medical consultations. I want to be there for him." Her eyes narrowed, suspicion evident in every word. "Why are you insisting on being involved, Evelyn? Are you trying to control everything? I'm the one who has been taking care of him, sacrificing my own time and energy." My heart sank, hurt by her accusations. Why is she being so rude? This is my husband we're talking about. I am not trying to control anything, Camilla. I just want to support my husband. I love him, and I want to be there for him in every possible way. Frustrated, I ended up on the ground from the force. "He's my son, and you're just an outsider, so don't keep telling me. I don't care about who you are or what you want to do. He's my husband, and I feel the need to have control over everything, decisions and actions alike. As his wife, I believe I should be consulted on everything related to my husband's recovery. However, it seems like I'm treated as nothing more than a display, an outcast. I choose to remain silent and leave her on the spot. She's becoming increasingly possessive and seems a bit unhinged. I sensed from the beginning that I couldn't trust her. She doesn't share crucial medical information with me. Not a single doctor's report reaches me because my mother-in-law refuses to provide anything. Feeling that something was happening behind my back, one fine Sunday afternoon, driven by my gut instinct, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Discreetly, I installed a hidden camera in my husband's bedroom, hoping to uncover the truth behind my mother-in-law's peculiar behavior. I set up the hidden camera while my mother-in-law and husband were on their usual afternoon stroll in the garden, with him in a wheelchair. I cleverly hid it in a spot where they wouldn't notice. Leaving it there for a week, I eagerly awaited the moment to review the footage, hoping to unveil the secrets hidden within. On a day when my mother-in-law took my husband to the hospital for another therapy session, I had a gut feeling that something wasn't right. After giving them the money for the session payment, they promptly left. I insisted on driving them, but as usual, she refused, making it the perfect chance for me to finally check the recordings. My heart raced with anticipation as I watched the footage. My world shattered around me and I covered my mouth in shock. There's no way this is real. I closely examined the footage, and there he was, my supposedly paralyzed husband, walking and talking effortlessly with his mother. My heart started beating fast, and my entire body trembled nervously. I never thought my husband would be involved in such deception. Out of all the people, it had to be him. They pretended everything was normal whenever I wasn't around. The shock and disbelief hit me hard, and tears filled my eyes. How could they trick me like this? Thankfully, the hidden camera also captured their voices, and I could listen to their conversations. It's painful to absorb everything they discussed. As I heard their words, each one felt like a sharp knife piercing my heart. I discovered that my husband had been cured within the first 5 months of therapy, and they played me for a fool. To make matters worse, I overheard another heart-wrenching conversation. "Did you transfer the money from Dino's account to our secret business account?" My son replied, "Yes, I've been doing it regularly. She won't suspect a thing." My husband smirked and chuckled, saying, "Excellent! She worked so hard, oblivious to our plans. Soon we'll have everything we want." They've been using my money for their gain, plotting behind my back. This is the most heartbreaking betrayal. In the footage, my husband laughed evilly, successfully portraying himself as a helpless victim. Evelyn fell for it completely, and my mother-in-law reveled in their deceitful victory. Unbeknownst to them, even though they seemed loyal to my mother-in-law, they were quietly scheming to break free. Break free? They're taking my money and making fun of my commitment. I won't allow them to escape without consequences. I keep watching, recording their guilty talk with the hidden camera. Once our undercover business succeeds, we'll leave Evelyn with nothing, and she'll finally realize she's been fooled. His mother agreed, and our partnership in wrongdoing grew stronger with each word. "Oh, my son, it's so exciting to be partners in crime. Our secret will stay hidden, and Evelyn will pay for her naivety." Tears filled my eyes as the extent of their betrayal became clear. I'm determined not to let them take advantage of me any longer. I'll expose their lies and take back what's rightfully mine. As the truth unfolded before me, another shocking realization hit me. The money I worked hard to earn for my husband's medical expenses had been wasted on their secret project. This hurt the most. They used my money to build a business right under my nose. I thought it was going towards my husband's well-being. No wonder he wasn't recovering despite all the sessions. This explains why my mother-in-law insisted on taking care of her son and kept me away. I was very determined to collect solid evidence, and I mustered the courage to visit the hidden business spot, which turned out to be a fortunate decision. They shared the location in one of their talks, and I quickly noted it down. Without delay, I went there and was surprised to find construction still in progress. Armed with my phone, I discreetly took pictures, capturing evidence of their lies and betrayal. These photos would be proof of their wrongdoing, but my anger and desire for justice pushed me further. I didn't want to stop there. I was fueled by the need for them to feel the pain and humiliation they caused me. So I carefully plotted my revenge, using my upcoming birthday party as the stage. Their wickedness shouldn't succeed. I wanted everyone, including my husband and mother-in-law, to know the truth. The day came, and I welcomed my guests with a smile, concealing the storm about to be unleashed. Now I couldn't look at my husband with worry and pity. He sat in that wheelchair devoid of remorse or guilt. I was eager to reveal their deceit. As the party unfolded, I took center stage and gathered everyone's attention. "Thank you all for joining tonight to celebrate my birthday. It means the world to me." The guests cheered, showing their love and support with a resounding applause. Before we continued the festivities, I had a special surprise to share. My eyes focused on my husband and his mother, standing beside each other, attempting to maintain their composed facade, their fake act. I've been working on something dear to me, and tonight, I want to share it with all of you. This success is meant to be celebrated with those who hold a special place in my heart, which is all of you. Lifting a large covered frame, I dramatically unveiled the cloth, exposing a picture of my husband and mother-in-law's secret business. With excitement, I smiled at everyone. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my latest venture. This will be my new business, and I'm thrilled to invite you all to the grand opening next week." The guests cheered and congratulated me, while the shock on my husband's and mother-in-law's faces was priceless. Their carefully constructed facade crumbled before the eyes of our friends and family. In a fit of rage, my husband stood up from his wheelchair and shouted, "That's mine!" Everyone in the venue gasped, some bewildered and shocked. My supposedly paralyzed husband stood and yelled, leaving the guests silent with widened eyes in disbelief. "Oh, hence, you're mistaken. This is my business, and you used all my money, don't forget. Throughout this time, both you and your mother were playing games with me. You deceived me by pretending to be paralyzed, but all along, you were already healed. And now, you've revealed your secret." The room buzzed with murmurs and whispers as people began connecting the dots, realizing the deception they were unknowingly a part of. "Wait a minute, your hands aren't paralyzed. You and my mother-in-law have been misleading us this entire time. My mother-in-law panicked and tried to regain control of the situation. "It's not what you think. There's an explanation for all of this," she pleaded. I dismissed her plea, saying, "Save your explanation. Your lies and deceit have been exposed." I pulled out a folder from behind the stage, revealing several pictures that showcased the secret business dealings, the money, and their collaboration. "Look at these pictures, everyone. This is the truth they hid from us. They used my hard-earned money to build this business behind my back," I declared. The guests examined the incriminating evidence, and anger and disappointment were evident on their faces. "I can't believe they took advantage of your trust, Evelyn. They manipulated all of us, and they should be ashamed," I added. My husband couldn't control his anger anymore. Forgetting his act, he started walking, no longer pretending to be paralyzed. The room fell silent, and shock painted expressions on their faces. "It was all her idea. My mother made me do it," I explained, looking at his hands with a mix of sadness and anger. "I trusted you, and we were supposed to face this challenge together." The guests around me offered their support and sympathy. Both my husband and mother-in-law had to face the consequences of their actions. They pleaded for forgiveness as their deceit unraveled in front of everyone. My husband went to his knees, covering his face with tears and guilt, while my mother-in-law, proud and egotistical, stood her ground. In that instant, I took back control and cut all connections with them. I claimed the house and the business, taking charge of my life once more. Departing from the venue without uttering a word, I stated firmly, "I've had my fill of your betrayals." Their deeds had repercussions, and I banished them from my life for good. Advancing, free from their deceit and influence, I concentrated on reconstructing my life and seeking joy. The wounds they inflicted would need time to mend, but I was resolute in leaving the past behind and embracing a future marked by truth and genuineness.